Hey guys, this is Coates, and today I would like to discuss with you some tips I found to help me after 500 hours on this game. I was even allowed into the beta program, so I can give you some good tips from my direct experience. First off, you're going to want to find the perfect graphic settings designed for your system, and this will be heavily reliant on your own hardware. But you want to maximize performance by creating a 50/50 load on your graphics card and your CPU. So if you turn on all your graphics settings down to low, your CPU is going to be overworking itself and not utilizing your GPU's full potential. These are my graphics settings as you can see here, and you can copy them at your own discretion, but they might not work for you. I have a GTX 1070 and an i5 6600K, which is a fairly above average system. So if, let's say, you're running an older Gen i5 and, say, a GTX 970, you could get unacceptable FPS. So, anti-aliasing. I like to keep this on Ultra because I would like to see the fine textures in faraway distances such as trees, fences, and like gates. If you keep this on low, high, medium, any of those other options, you might get this effect where when you're running and you're looking around, you will see very strange, like, they like pop in and out, and it can look like guys running for some reason. Even on Ultra, this effect still might happen. It can be very peculiar, and I don't know why it happens. Post-processing. I keep this one very low because if it's on high or ultra, you will see a very distant blur, and it can create a almost ambient occlusion effect, and it can be very distracting to some eyes. Shadows, I keep these on very low because loot can be very, very difficult to see when the shadows are on medium and upwards. That's when they get very dark and it's almost impossible to see. The shadows will not completely disappear when they're on very low. They do not turn off. You will still have shadows on some different effects in different places. Texture, keep this on ultra. You might have to lower this to medium or high. I don't suggest going lower than medium because it will create too much stress on your CPU. Effects. I keep these on medium because if they're on high or ultra, you will get significant FPS drops when someone throws a stun grenade. There was this issue recently that has been patched where if the effects were on higher ultra or anything above medium, I think it was, that your game would completely crash. You would get a crash report, and if it was from a memory leak, but the issue is still going around right now where your FPS will drop significantly if a flash goes off in your immediate area, and it can be very annoying. Foliage, I keep this on ultra because I want to be able to see foliage render in the distance. It'll affect how quickly it renders and how far away it renders. And that ties in with the view distance being on ultra, and those kind of go hand in hand. Motion blur, of course, is off because no one gives a shit about motion blur. Here's another additional tip for getting some better FPS. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, one guide I've seen to maximize FPS is go into your control panel, 3D settings, manage 3D settings, program settings, and then find the game. You might have to add it if it's not already in there. You just have to click add in the drop-down box and find the game. And then you go scroll to the bottom and then go to the threaded optimization setting and then turn that to on. And that setting allows programs, the specific one obviously being PUBG, to take control of multiple CPUs. This will help drastically in increasing FPS, and I can link the guide in the description if is requested. This game is strange because for some you will get better FPS at high/ultra settings, counterintuitively to having them on low. Next, I'll talk to you about some loot spawns. Here in this map, as you can see, there's different areas that you can go to with different degrees of loot. Yasnaya, the School of Rozhok Apartments, and Sector 4E. The Crater, Sector 4G. Milta Power Plant, Primorsk, Georgia Pool, Severny Firing Range, Sector 2D. And finally, the military base in Novo. Have the best possible gear to be found, being high probability of military loot. These are prime locations for gear, but at a trade-off because they're going to be heavily contested about 90% of the time. What you wish to find ideally is a low-risk, high-reward situation, and that's going to be dependent on which sectors the plane comes from. You will have to make that call when deciding to parachute. Next off, I'm going to be discussing tactical awareness. This is going to be the key element in winning your gunfights, in playing the game, getting a hand over your opponent. You wish to outsmart your enemy. That is how you will prevail in situations. If you're far away, make them think you're closer, and vice versa. Predictability and maneuverability are going to be your best assets. When the plane is deploying people, watch to see where the majority of them land, and use that data to account for where they will be moving when the circle starts to shrink. Always be scanning your surroundings and remain vigilant. Enemies will be coming from everywhere. If you spot an enemy, gain a better position to fire, but do it swiftly and efficiently. Predict where your opponent is going to go using your gut instinct. It will be right 80% of the time. We all know practice will make you better. Experiment with different DPI and sensitivity. Hone in on what skills you're lacking and constructively criticize yourself into furthering your own behavior. Run towards the gunshots and establish a position. Now, if you're playing with a 4-person squad, things can get a little different. You need to have structure and you need to have a plan, because if you don't, you will falter. Work with your team to create an operating procedures list, this being certain rule everyone must follow in order to maximize efficiency. Examples: every person must carry 3 stun grenades, travel in pairs, don't engage until everyone sees the enemy. These certain rules can help you in creating structure and making sure that everyone is doing their own certain job. If you can find a team that can handle themselves with these procedures, you will win more games. Now, I will be discussing weapons statistics very briefly. These are not official numbers, but they are data mines, so they're as close to official as they're going to get. Each weapon will have its pros and cons, and I will be linking a website you can use to compare the numbers and find your own preferred weapon in the description. Each weapon has their own stats. These are for the assault rifles as following. The overview, which has general information such as hit damage, bullet speed, firing modes, and zero range. Reload statistics such as time taken to reload, bullet spread, bullet deviation, recoil, sway, camera depth of field, how well you can see the weapon when you're aimed on your sight. Miscellaneous, time taken to pick up the weapon off the floor, things of that nature. These statistics are going to be different for each weapon and will be preferred on an individual basis. Alternatively, they're going to be used in different scenarios, so use whatever you feel is best for the situation that you are in. Now I'm going to discuss the play zone and how to utilize it and manipulate it to your advantage. There are different strategies each player likes to do depending on their playstyle. Some players will go right into the center as soon as it changes. Others will prefer to do something called playing the edge, which is where they keep the blue zone in their blind spot to only focus on one direction. This strategy can sometimes not work because in my experience I get killed by enemies still inside the blue zone in the earlier circles. Playing the zone can be very efficient in the later circles because the zone does too much damage and players are unlikely to still be inside of it. So, let's use an example here. Let's say it's at the end of a game and in a very late circle and you're on the far end of the blue zone and you must travel all the way across to get into the new zone. You have some options here. You can take the path least traveled, where you hear no gunshots, or you can go towards the gunshots and try to fight, but you will have to keep your eye on the time until the blue starts to move. I prefer to keep a few things in mind when moving into a new zone. How many people are left in the game, the type of terrain I'm going to be going towards and my way there, the sound of the gunshots. These things can help you in determining what kind of battles and what kind of situation you're going to be in when you get into the new zone. The biggest thing I see is the type of terrain that you're going to want to face when you go up there, depending on the left, right, middle side of the zone. You want maximum cover, obviously, and you want to be able to get there as quickly as possible. These 3 elements I discussed with you will help you in order to maximize yourself getting into the zone at the end of the game. You want to win, and you don't always have to fight. Choose your battles, and choose wisely. Something else I should discuss is sound. Sound will play a huge role in this game to determine where footsteps and gunshots are coming from. I would recommend investing some research into a headset that you feel you would enjoy with your budget. Some examples would be the Logitech G633, which retails at about around $100 US, or the HyperX Cloud 2, which is about the same price. If you wish to invest a little bit more money, I would recommend the Astro A40's Tournament Ready Edition headset, but they retail at about a $250 price tag. This is a steep price point, but you don't only get good quality headphones, you also get the mix amp, which is in and of itself a sound card. Battlegrounds does not support surround sound. This game is defaultly stereo sound, but with the mix amp or a very high quality headphone, it can convert this into surround sound directionality-wise. I recommend investing some research and money into a good quality headset because it will definitely pay off in the long run. All of the aforementioned headsets are really good for this game and PC gaming in general. Just do some research and see what's best for you. So, after all these things I've discussed, I'm still not the best player, not by a long shot. I definitely have a lot of learning to do and skills to hone in on. Everyone will progress at a different pace and will require their own strengths and weaknesses. I created this video because of my time spent on this game and because I feel as I could help some beginners with their own self-improvement. Okay, this has been Codes. I hope I covered a lot of things in this video that can be of assistance to you. I might be doing some more of these depending on the feedback of this video. If you enjoyed, please give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. If you want some more content or have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks.